Harihi Om Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yatkrupātamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Shishya Atma Samarpan Karpanya Dosho Upahata Swabhavaha Pritchami Tvam Dharma Sammuda Chetaha Yashreyasyan Nishchitam Bruhi Tanme Shishyasteham Shadhimam Tvam Prapannam. Om. So we are in the 47th shloka of the second chapter in Bhagavad Gita. The shloka goes like this. Karmanye vādhikāraste mā phaleṣu kadācana mā karma phalaheturbhuhu mā te sangostva karmani. So we had seen the word by word and we explored some of the nuances behind the term ma, which is used in three contexts: to measure, to represent me, my, or to represent a negation. So we saw it from a grammar point of view. But we looked at adhikar and we said it is the root with kr and the adhi is the prefix. We established that an adhikar represents control and authority. We have been speaking a lot about akarta bhavam. In bhashyam, in other places, we have said that the karta is not there in a jnani, and hence the karma kanda doesn't bind him because there is no karta there. That is the basis of the arguments that have been done in several of Shankara's bhashyam. The nuance in this is established in this shloka. When Bhagavan says Karmani eva adhikaraha, what Bhagavan says is, when you perform an action, you must be fully in it. As in, you should exercise control as well as authority in the action that you are performing. Then, I'm a karta. That is the place where Bhagavan is indicating, saying when you put the attitude of not being the owner of the action, the akarta automatically springs up. You become an akarta. The example we saw was like I building this house as a mason or as an engineer doesn't make this house belonging to me. Right? So the point is, when you do not associate an ownership, the karta bhavam totally goes away. In chapter 4, we will be exploring it in a lot more depth when we specifically go into shlokas after the the shloka which says brahmarpanam brahmahavihi brahmagno brahmanahutam. After that shloka, there will be a series of exercise which will help us remove the karta bhavam from us. So how is the karta bhavam removed? Then we use two phrases. One is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, that whatever I do it like a servant of Bhagavan. That Ishwararpana Buddhi is key to Karma Yoga. The second one is Prasada Buddhi, where when an action is performed, there is always a drishta adrishta phalam. But because the karta bhavam is missing, there is no adrishta phalam. the drishta phalam that you get, you take it as a prasad with no resistance to it, but with lot of reverence to whatever you get. We also addressed a question from Hari Bhaiya, wherein he was talking from the point of view of how the karma, the action, and the objectives are connected. Right, so we explored that an objective is essential because we are human. If you are not a human, that objective is very limited to what my needs are. But as a human, you can do a lot more because the Chaitanyam comes across or reflects on the human much more than it reflects on other animals or plants. Now, this aspect that I have to set an objective, but after setting an objective, various karma that I do, we use the term like a sankalpa. When you take a sankalpa, you are fully committed into that action, not as a doer, but as an executioner in the hands of Bhagavan. We will see a little more in the next shloka. We will take some examples and also see, but for now, we use the term Buddhi Yoga to demonstrate that. We are going to continue on this shloka now. The next thing that Bhagavan said is Ma Karma Phala Hetuhu Bhuhu. Let us take what is the meaning of the term Hetu. Hetu means cause, instrument, motivating factor, etc. Basically, that which produces an effect is the cause, another way of looking at it. Karma phala hetu means one who becomes the cause or one who assumes the producership. I don't know if that is a word, but one who assumes that he or she is the producer of the result of the action. That is what is the karma phala hetuhu means. Ma, as we have seen earlier, is negation. So here Bhagavan very clearly says, do not become or do not behave as though you are the cause of any results. Based on the analysis we have done so far, your actions are only a tiny part of the cosmic order. What we used the term was vyashti, right? The karma is only vyashti. The results are out of the samashti, which is everything put together. A result is thus produced by several elements coming together, which includes people, object, right? The time, the weather conditions, etc. In Vedantic study, we also include the effect of the past karma, often referred to as the vasanas. Not only the vasanas of our own, that is again a mistake that people do. When we talk of samashti, it is not just the vasana of Naresh with respect to this action. It is everybody's vasana as well. So every jivan contributes to it with their karmic impacts as well. So in addition to the material aspect, the karmic aspect is also something that is added within the Vedantic scope. We can logically establish, yes, that is or that can only be the case. But we will keep that for some other discussion. Therefore, to think that I produced this result, or alternately, I failed to produce this result, is both ignorance. We need to understand that. So Bhagavan's emphasis when he says Ma karma phala hetuhu bhuhu is to say that don't get into the habit of assessing your performance using the results. You use the results for planning ahead. That is good, vivekaha. But if you use it for assessing your capability, then that is ignorance. So when does a person become a karma phala hetuhu? I added something and you can add a lot more. But the idea is to give you an indication as to when you have become a karma phala hetu and overcome that. Right? So, whenever you get a sense that I achieved this, remember you have become a karma phala hetu, or I made this happen. The success is because of me. It's a teamwork. Even in that, the success is because of me. Or if the results are bad, oh no, I am a failure. The value comes from my results. Right? In other words, the value for my action is not on the action itself. It is from the results that I get out of the action. My self-worth depends on the outcome. If I am successful, then people will look up to me. The fact is, nobody is even going to look at you. Or, well, the way that we say in the Shastra is there will always be three pakshas, mitraha, arihi, and udasinaha, which is who are going to look up to you, who are going to praise you, those who are going to condemn you, or who have an enemy-like approach towards you with respect to that action, or in general, and udasina, who don't really care what you do or what you don't do. That three paksha will always be there. But what we do inadvertently, we say that if I have done, man, I am getting, putting our collars up and walking, whether somebody is watching or not, having that self-pride when that comes into you, that is another indicator to say that you have become a karma phala hetuhu. The other thing is when you look at other people, other person is taking my credit, or other person was not. So in credit in general is even more nuanced. Well, I was not part of that team. It was like three people who executed this, and person A of the three people was recognized. I'm saying that, come on, yeah, what is it? Only to this person the credit is going. When you become that, when you are assessing, you have already become a karma phala hetu. You can say, I am not even thinking I'm associated with karma phala. You have associated, because in the samashti you have already contributed in the sukshma prapancham. We need to understand that our stula sukshma prapancham, which is in our control, karana, is within the prajnanam, which is just in pure consciousness. So we don't want to go there. But in the stulam and sukshmam, at that level, anything that you do where something like this comes up, you have become a karma phala hetuhu. Other person was not doing his job and I had to cover. My effort is not being recognized. That is another aspect. Whenever you search for a recognition, remember you have become a karma phala hetu. Nothing wrong with that. It is a question of whether you want to continue. If you want to continue, then take it as a good humor, with a good humor, saying that, oops, I missed, I slipped, I have become a karma phala hetu, and again continue your effort. Just the fact that you observe yourself will liberate you from the thoughts that bind you and make you a karma phala hetu. Coming to the ill effects of becoming a karma phala hetuhu. They are very, in simple terms, they put it, that there will be ahankaram and mamakaram in us, which is going to hurt us. We will develop raga dvesham, attachment or aversion. That is also going to affect us. Bhayam is going to be something that you are going to experience. The stress, the burnout, etc., the blood pressure, all those things are aspects which are ihaloka phalam of becoming a karma phala hetu. The paraloka phalam, as we call it, is bandhana, which is punarjanma praptihi. You get into the cycle of birth and rebirth. Going further, it goes as mate sangaha astu akarmani. Ma is negation, sangaha is association, very common word that we use. Astu, be it so. Akarmani, inaction or non-doership. Swatantraha karta or karta swatantraha, whether you go by Acharya or whether you go by Panini is up to you. From that point of view, as a karta, there are three options that you can follow. One is kartum shakyam, option to do something. Then akartum shakyam, option not to do something. Then anyata kartum shakyam, all option for doing the same in an alternate way. Right. But here, when we say akarmani, we are talking of the decision that you take for not doing something that you are supposed to be doing. Right. And it could have come as a part of your own sankalpa, or it could have been as part of the situation of the kshetra that you are in. When you decide on becoming an akarta, saying that I will not do it, I will procrastinate it, let us push it out, let us see if someone else pick it up. When we do that, then you have chosen the vikalpa, the option of akartum shakyam. So Bhagavan is giving a warning saying that ma te sangaha astu akarmani. When he says this, Bhagavan very clearly means that do not take the path, do not take the vikalpa of akartum shakyam. Basically, people tend to swing between two extremes. If my action is insignificant, has no significance, then why should I even contribute to the outcomes? Has significant impact on me, why at all perform an action? That kind of a thought. Then, because people tend to procrastinate or avoid work, because they become a bhokta. Let me go and enjoy TVR. बाद में कर लेंगे. What is that to do with this slide? Let us ignore the slide. We will do the slide later. That kind of a thought comes into the aspect of procrastination. Again, when you have done the sankalpa, you must do it. On the other hand, whenever you get time, you try to go and do it. That is also wrong. You must be very clear in terms of it falling within the established path that you have chosen with respect to this karma. Because people tend to give importance to bhogam, pleasure, or entertainment. Because people are uncertain about what is to be done, often driven by the feeling that all choices are fruitless. Many people have said this to me. Whatever we do, it is not going to yield a result. Right. So already that is not what you are expected to do. You are expected to pursue the path. Yogaya yujyasva. Right. That is the way that Bhagavan says. So we need to be engaged at all times. No, because people are often committed to, I must get the result. That is again something that forces you to become actionless. And there again, the Mate Sangaha is an advice from Bhagavan that we can keep in mind. As I said, these are just thoughts that came to my mind, so I have added it. It is nothing to do with any traditional teaching or something. It was just natural thinking that happened when I was preparing the slides. Remember, being in the state of inaction too produces results. In other words, when you are in the state of inaction, your action is inaction. And because you are performing the action, there will be outcomes. And that outcome is not something that you can say, I didn't do anything, yet I'm getting suffering, or yet I'm suffering. It is because you didn't do anything that you are suffering. Your doing was not doing anything. So we need to keep in mind that if you choose to the path of akarmani, you are performing the karma of being an akarmani, and it has its own sins as well as it has its own ihaloka phalam. So to conclude, karma yoga is not about doing or not doing. It is about how the doing purifies you. When you perform that action, whether you like it or not, when you perform that action is a bad word there, when you perform your actions as a karma yogi, you're sure to get the purification that happens in you. That purification is chitta shuddhi, which is part of the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti journey that you take. Vivekam will develop. your ability to think, your ability to analyze, your ability to respond will multiply, will become much, much more better. Vairagyam, your ability to say no to the bhogam is going to very naturally increase in you. Right? And then mumukshu and the shramadamadi, shat sampatti, we will not go into that. But each of them gets a benefit when you do the karma as a karma yogi. Outcome is Ishvara's responsibility, while effort is my responsibility. And in the outcome, the control and the authority, the adhikaraha, is of that of Ishvaraha. And in my role, it is not Ishvaraha. Many people tend to express this particular shloka from the point of view of don't do anything, nimitta matram bhava. Right? Bhagwan jaise karte hain, main waisa karta hu. No. When you are performing the action, the adhikar is with you. That emphasis is again something that you have to put in your mind. When you get a result, acceptance is your responsibility. Reaction based on the changed situation towards your objective is your responsibility. Always keep in mind, no result is produced by a single cause. Hence, you cannot claim ownership of the result. We will talk about it even in the 18th chapter, when Bhagwan adds 5 elements as the cause of any action or the results of the action. So, and then we saying, I did it, is not very intelligent, is the way that he will also say. There are some alternate versions of the same shloka that I have heard. We do not negate them, call them wrong. This is better, that is good, and this is bad. Nothing like that, no comparison. But we keep it as a source of knowledge for us. The first thing is on karmani eva adhikaraha. Given that you have not attained the chitta shuddhi, the only authority you hold is to perform karma, right? So that is not something that we prescribe. Even for a jnani, even for an akarta, we should keep in mind that karma is something that one cannot escape. Bhagwan will say in the next chapter that nahi kaschit kshanamapi, right? Not even for a small portion of a second, you can go without being in the action. Karyate havashah karma, right? Indeed, he karyate avashah, without the control on it, is the way that he will be putting it. So we need to keep in mind that that karma that needs to be performed, not holding the ownership, is the buddhi yoga. You don't have the authority to practice jnana yoga as you have not matured enough to let go of karma. So there, your adhikar is only karma. You have to be in the action. Your karta bhavam is deep rooted in you. Hence, you are only eligible to practice karma yoga. So these are all various expressions that I have heard in YouTubes, in discussions, in other places, in pravachans, right? So I just added some. There could be many more. So we need to understand that sometimes this shloka, which is so famous, is wrongly quoted. And when I say wrongly, I'm not talking from a comparative point of view. I'm talking from the completeness point of view. It may not be complete in their explanation. So you can analyze it, you can add it further, and let your own jyoti show you the true path. Ma phaleṣu kadācana. You should try to drop the attachment you carry towards karma phalam. It is interpreted as an instruction given to Arjuna or to all the loka people. You should not have any attachment towards karma phala as an advice. That is the way that they put it. Ma karma phala hetuhu buhu. Don't develop a sankalpa in you to win or to lose, as this will lead you to develop papam and punyam. With this opportunity, drive your focus on getting chitta shuddhi by avoiding the possibility of becoming a karma phala hetuhu. So as you know, what I said was from the way that we look at it in our darshana, we say that this is something that will happen and it is a means for you to overcome it if you are not a jnani. If you are a jnani, this will never happen where you will have to course correct yourself. That's the only difference. But they will also not have that difference at all. That jnani will not have that difference. That is the most important thing. Mate sangostva karmani, you have expressed a willingness to let go, tyagaha, right? Which is, we will talk about it in 18th chapter. This kind of tyagaha that you are trying to do is tamasic in nature. That's a beautiful quote, actually. I really like the way that this, what do you say, I think it was in a pravachan. This pravachak was very beautifully putting it together, connecting the two. And I really liked it, actually. This is beautiful. This kind of tyagaha should not be done by you. Your decision to such tyagam and letting go of the actions you are wanting to let go should not be done. So these are all various other ways that people communicate about this shloka. Let your vivekaha guide you in finding the truth, because the paramarthika sat is beyond the words. Moving into bhashyam, you're right, te adhikaraha is only to act, karmani eva. You do not have the right to the fruits, ma phaleṣu. That is, you should not desire or expect specific results from your action under any circumstances. Should you develop thirst, right? This is called as trishna. Trishna and asangam are two words that we use for the fruits of action. Then that is what something that you should never develop. Why? If desire for fruit arises, you become motivated to act only for getting the fruits. Then the fruits themselves bind you further into the birth, into samsara, and so on. Therefore, do not become a cause for, or do not become a karma phala hetuhu, is the way Shankaracharya has addressed in his Bhashya. And he says, but also Lord Krishna wants, if you think, if I should not desire fruits, then why do any action at all? Kim karmana dukkha rupena is the way that he is asking. Then you might be tempted towards inaction. We explored this path a lot in our analysis. Lord Krishna says, no, don't develop attachment to inaction either. Mate sangaha astu akarmani. Don't get attached to laziness or avoiding action. Act dutifully without desire for fruits, is the way that Shankaracharya presents his bhashyam on this shloka. Then he moves on to the next shloka, where we will be exploring a little more on yoga. If action should not be done motivated by desire for fruits, yadi karma phala prayuktena na kartavyam karma, is the way that Shankaracharya has put, then how should one act? Katham tarhi kartavyam. Thus, it will now be explained, iti uchyate. That is, now in the next shloka, we will look at the answer to this question. How should one act? Going into the next shloka, shloka number 48. योगस्थः कुरु कर्माणि सङ्गं त्यक्त्वा धनञ्जय सिद्ध्यसिद्ध्यो समो भूत्वा समत्वं योग उच्यते. Yogastha, right? Grahastha, one who is in the grahasthashram, right? So the one who is in is the stha that represents. Yoga stha means in unison with, or like how one does a yoga. Kuru karmani. Kuru is perform. Karmani is activities. Sangam, attachment. Tyaktva, letting go of. Dhananjaya, O Arjuna, one who conquers wealth. Dhan and Jaya, as in it means one who brings prosperity. siddhi and asiddhi, accomplishment or successes or failures. Samaha bhutva, keeping an equilibrium towards, maintaining an equanimity towards that. Equiposed, bhutva, becoming so. Samatvam yoga uchyate. Samatvam, such equanimity, yoga, contextually karma yoga or buddhi yoga, uchyate, is called so. In other words, this is a direct definition of karma yoga given by Bhagavan, in no uncertain terms, saying this is what is called karma yoga. So this verse defines yoga. Here, Bhagavan establishes that yoga is samatvam. Yoga is not a posture that we generally see, or it's not referring to a meditation, a ritual. Right? Yoga is balance, evenness, equanimity. It is again the inner attitude with which an action is performed. Performing action as worship, considering oneself as an instrument, nimitta matram bhava savyasachan, it will come. Acting without anxiety, greed, or fear, and maintaining dignity and clarity in action. This is what is samatva bhavam, right? And it's a very simple term, samatvam, but the depth of this particular word is very beautiful. Each of them is for you to consider. Performing action as worship. If you don't have any shraddha during worship, then this is not applicable to you. I'm talking when we are worshipping with full shraddha to the God that we are worshipping. Considering oneself as merely an instrument in the hands of God. Acting without anxiety, greed, or fear. All of them, if you see that there is anxiety coming up when you have to perform some action, remember it is because you have become a karma phaleṣu. Right? If you are a Karmanye vādhikāraste, if you are going to practice that part of it, there is no scope for anxiety or greed or fear. And maintaining dignity and clarity in action. This is also very, very important. We have seen so many stories and other things where maintaining the dignity of the work that one is performing. Bhagavan is not thinking I'm a charioteer. And position of a charioteer is so highly placed in Mahabharata. If you read that, it is amazing how even the kings step in to become a charioteer for someone else when they are fighting the war. Right? So, but here what we do, driver is looked down upon and an executive is looked up upon. That looking down, looking up, etc. is not there at all. That maintaining the dignity means I'm not going to be disturbed by how others are looking, and I am going to look at my action with value and clarity. That is the most important part. We can add many more. Kuru karmani. Kuru karmani, do. Right? Yoga represents responsibility, engagement, excellence, and sincerity. Bhagavan will say next, Kaushalam karma kuru. Again, it will be coming in the same chapter. Sangam tyaktva. Drop attachment. Now, we talk of two kinds of sangam. One is phala sangam, which is attachment to the result, and kartritva sangam, attachment to I am the doer. I should be doing it. What Bhagavan says is drop both of them. Siddhi asiddhi samaha bhutva. Even-mindedness when you experience a success or a failure. Grateful in success. Graceful in failure. Calm in uncertainty. Alert in opportunity. Balanced in diversity. So these are all the thoughts that came to my mind, putting whatever we have discussed so far here. This balance is the proof of Karma Yoga. The proof is not to be looked at on others, because all of this can only be done on yourself. So this is a proof to yourself that you are in the path of Karma Yoga. And when you are not, it is the time you let your manaha to naturally go towards Karma Yoga. Once you develop the desire to be in Karma Yoga, it will normally come. You don't have to force yourself. Don't force. Allow it to happen. Just remembering that this is my objective will naturally take you on that path. But every time you miss, measure it, see it, enjoy it. That is also a Ishvara Prasadam. Samatvam Yoga Uchate. Holding such a balance is called as Yoga. We spoke about this regarding the Karma Yoga. Ishvara Arpana Buddhihi, surrendering your action to God, and Prasada Buddhi, accepting the results as a prasad. Samatvam Yoga Uchate. Now let us divide the work that we do into two categories. One is duties, compulsion, but subject to raga dvesham. That which I like, that which I don't like, for my own desires, that is kamya karma. Now, when it comes to duties, observe yourself. It is only when it comes to duties that like and dislike pops up. When you are doing something for your own desire, that like and dislike doesn't pop up in you, because you're doing it for your desire. That means you're doing it for what you like. There is no question of, I don't like, I desire this and I don't like. I like to go and watch a movie, but I don't like watching a movie. That is, it is not, it is, directly negating your own words. Maintaining a balanced mind in your duties is what the emphasis is on this shloka. When we say samatvam yoga uchyate, it is when you get into a situation of I like, I don't like, when you create that option and choice in you, that is the time when you have slipped away from karma yoga. With respect to kamya karma, nothing that binds you, so long as it doesn't come in the way of your duty. If it is coming in the way of your duty, we again say the same thing. Your Vishesha Dharmam is much more important than your Samanya Dharmam. Fruits of action can result in expected results, which you call as success, or not the results that we expected. This could be something that we call as a failure, or maybe not a failure. It is not what I wanted. I wanted $100 profit. I got $60 profit. So it is not reaching, or it is not meeting my expectation. So that is why we said that when it is not meeting your expectation, something that I like or something that I don't like, that division will fall into us. Realize that Bhagavan said in the previous shloka, ma phaleṣu kadācana. Develop the sense of equanimity based on this advice in the outcome. An important note, the sense of treating the results in a balanced way can happen only when I have executed my duties properly. If I have not executed my duty properly, there will be a natural guilt in you if you are in the sattvic path. If you are in the tamasic path, you will not even know. If you are in the rajasic path, it may be very different. But if you are pursuing the sattvic path, then you know that you have not done or discharged your duty properly. And when you have not discharged your duty properly, the fruit of action is something that you don't like, but you accept it, kind of a stuff. That is not what prasada buddhi is. The prasada buddhi is when I know totally that I have discharged my duty to the fullest of my capabilities with my complete focus. Then when I get something that I do not expect as the result, or something less than what I had expected as a result, taking it as a prasadam, prasada buddhi comes in that point of view. Yogastah kuru karmani, sense of right. This stems from the natural flow. Nothing needs to be told there. It is not because it is written somewhere. That sense of right should come from within you. I work at my office and I have the right to receive the money. Something that we think of. It is not going to bother me. I gave everything to my children and now they are very successful, but they are not taking care of me. So I have the right to expect them to take care of me in my old age. If my right is not honored, my duties are compromised. When I get into that mode, that is, your motivating factors are dropping when you are not honored with the results that you have produced. Now, Yogastha Kuru Karmani is where you will elevate yourself from all, elevating yourself to let go of the rights and developing a sense of completeness in your duty. This is what is called as yoga. Sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhya siddho samo bhutva. Does it mean I continue to work if the salary is not paid? The problem is there are two different karma. Whether to continue to work is your choice. That has got nothing to do with what you have committed. If you have committed to working, you should work, not be driven by the fruits you get. That is the thing that you have to keep in mind. This is developing the Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. All that I do it for God. If I am supposed to get my income, I will get it. If not, I will have to find some other way. I know that Bhagavan has given me another challenge. Maybe I will take that up and I will try to look for something else. It is not I'm dropping that, I'm going out somewhere else. I have completed that. Now I'm making another choice. I don't bind myself between various things that are happening with other people, organization and government, etc. I hold an expectation. But when it comes to a child, you don't hold an expectation. You're saying, hey, smile, and the baby just cries out loud or doesn't even look at you and turn your face away. You don't have any problem with that. It doesn't affect you at all. Perhaps you are even enjoying the way the child is reacting. Whereas if the same thing the government does, you become agitated. Plant, I hold no expectations. Animals, I hold no expectations. Right? I may get upset. Say, for example, I have a dog and that dog is potty trained and yet it has an accident at home. I am upset. But I don't hold the dog accountable for it. I may shout at it and so on and so forth. That is my reaction to it. But my expectations are not there. That is the attitude you need to have towards everything. That is what is siddhi and asiddhi samaha bhutva. The next action that you take could be something else. The outcome of that is different. You do not try to put things together and confuse your own self and think the world is wrong. That will stop. That vivekam will grow in you. Now, there is an inspirational story shared by another teacher. There is a very successful rich man with few children. He came to the ashram that this acharya had been in. The rich man, you know what he did? He transferred all his properties and all the possession to his children. And the children were just tossing him here and there. Frustrated, he said, okay, let us leave them, let them be happy. And he came and settled in ashram. Now, there were several people who were saying, come on, how bad they are. This is not good. Why is it that you have to give? You should not have given your money away. You should not have distributed the property, etc. Right? He went through all those pointing also, even from people who have taken up sannyas. Even they are speaking and inducing the person to have a negative impact. But over a period of time, he came to the realization that he had done his duty. If he had not done his letting go of the property, then he would not have been able to come to this ashram, where the wealth of knowledge that he is gaining and the self-realization that is taking place in him, he would have missed on all those opportunities, still holding on to the property to save him. And that realization was very appealing. And that became an incident that was shared for some time in that particular ashram, is what I understand. Fruits are given by God on what is good for you or not. It is not based on what I desire. It is that which is good for me. No, I cannot be the judge of what is good for me. The moment I put me being the judge of what is good for me, then I have become the karma phala hetuhu, right? Or I have become the person who is creating the phalam. The moment I have this Ishvara Arpana Buddhi and Prasada Buddhi, then this will not come to me. Anything that has been received is good. And I have not known what the goodness is, but there is a goodness that is waiting to happen. That is the realization that will come as we practice more on this shloka. Kamya karma. This is desire-induced activities. Develop the attitude of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi, share the outcomes. In fact, Bhagwan will say in the next chapter, Ishtan bhogan hi vo devaha dasyante yajna bhavitaha. Right? So there will be a lot of bhogam because of your path that you take, that the devas, the devatas will bless on you. What Bhagwan says is, take it with the yajna bhavam. We will talk about that in that particular shloka, right? So what in simple term that he says is, if you don't share that and consume the result, then you are equivalent to a thief. Yo bhunte stena eva saha is the way that he puts it. Now for this, we quote a very famous incident uh, in almost all the traditions, and everybody speaks about it. This happened with Girish Chandra Ghosh and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Now, Girish Chandra Ghosh was in the height of fame. He was a Bengali playwright, actor, and a big devotee of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. But because of his wealth, he also had a lot of bad habits. He used to drink, he used to smoke, he had pretty irregular conduct, and he went through various emotional extremes and restlessness, etc. But his devotion to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa never depleted. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa used to advise him, hey, don't try to do this, etc. And he says, okay, okay. And the next day he will come and he will say the same thing, no, I could not control myself. One day, Ramakrishna said, simply give me the responsibility for your life. Do whatever you do, but offer it mentally to me. Let me bear the consequences. Right? I will ensure that I put my tapasya for whatever mistakes you do or whatever the wrong thing that you do, the consequences be it on me. Let it come to me. Right? Let me bear the consequences. Just surrender your life. And he started practicing it. He started offering, he has to drink, he will put one glass for Ramakrishna and then he will drink. Over a period of time, he started feeling ashamed of himself. What am I doing? And slowly became a person that he really wanted to be. That is a living demonstration of Sharanagati, a complete surrender. When we talk about Ishvara Arpanam, this complete surrender is the thing that we emphasize on. Small analysis, the total surrender removes the doership. We quote from Bhagavad Gītā in terms of what are all the things that this incident can be attached to. This is in the chapter 11, Shloka number 33. Tasmat tumuttishta yasho labhasva jitva shatrun bhungshva rajyam samriddham mayaivaite nihatah purvameva nimittamatram bhava savyasachin. Another one is in the 18th chapter, 66th shloka. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tva sarva papebhyah mokshayishyami ma shuchah. So when the ego drops and the grace flows, ananyas chintayanto mam, that is, I'm only an instrument, that anya buddhi has gone from me. Ye janah paryupasate tesham nityabhiyuktanam. And Bhagavan promises, yoga kshemam vahami aham. I will give you that which is good for you. The transformation happens naturally. Right? In the 50th shloka in this chapter, we will say, Buddhi yukto jahati hai ube sukrita dushkrite tasmad yogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. I was telling you, the kaushalam karma, we will talk about it pretty soon. So this story clarifies that surrender is not laziness. It is engaging fully in life, but dropping the ego and letting the divine intelligence operate through you. That is karma yoga in its highest form. So this is something that we use in communicating about this aspect, the samatvam yoga uchyate. To establish what that is, we always give these quotes. A karma yogi, remember, plans carefully, but planning is an action, but he is not a karta there. He is acting in accordance with the human intelligence that has been given to him because he is in the human form. Simple. He acts sincerely. He's not going to try and emulate something that he doesn't know. He will totally agree, I don't know. Performs duties with dedication, accepts results with maturity, does not collapse under failure, does not get intoxicated by success. Yeah, I did it kind of a stuff. Learns from both, moves forward with clarity. Right? Success is used for the next purpose. Failure is assessed, and a transformation, the planning transformation happens when the failure is encountered. That maturity happens in him. He holds the balance such that neither success nor the failure disturbs the inner balance that he has now developed as a result of Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. In Bhashyam, Acharya says, Yogastaha san. We'll go into the meaning of it. Being established in yoga, that is, as in a state of equanimity and surrender to God, perform your actions. Kuru karmani. Act purely for the sake of Ishvaraha. Kevalam Ishvarartham. Even thinking tatra api. May the Lord be pleased with this. Ishvaraha may tushyati iti. Give up the attachment, sangam tyaktva, O Dhananjaya, when actions are performed without desire for results. Phala trishna shunyena, with zero trishna, attachment towards the phalam. They lead to purity of mind, sattva shuddhi, and from that knowledge arises, jnana praptihi. This is called siddhi. On the other hand, if attachment and desires dominate, it leads to impurity and ignorance. This is asiddhi, which is the failure. Therefore, Bhagavan says, be the same, samaha, in success, be it siddhi or failure, be it asiddhi. Be equal-minded. Acharya's words, tulyaha bhutva, tulyam, the tolna, balance. And then act, kuru karmani. What is that yoga Krishna speaks about? If it is this exactly, idam eva tat yoga. What do you say? It is a question and answer that he puts into the same bhashyam himself. Equanimity in success and failure is called yoga. So key points from Lord Krishna: act selflessly, offer your actions to Ishvara. Don't pay attention to the possibility of success or failure. Keep the mind even in both. That steady balance itself is yoga. Yoga is samatvam. Now, connected to natural explanation, that action, yet karma, which is performed with a balanced mind, samatva buddhi yuktam, and dedicated for the worship of Lord, Ishvara aradhanartam, from such action, etasmat karmanah, Krishna is about to explain what results, which is purity of mind, knowledge, and liberation. So, a very beautiful shloka. Action done as an offering to God brings about the best of everything, that which is highest good to you. Yogastha kuru sangam tyaktva. Keep the same attitude towards success or failure. Samatvam. Such siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. This is not a punarukti. Siddhi and asiddhi is easily identified. Start with siddhi and asiddhi. Upon realization of perceived fruits, then move to the internal balance, which is maintaining the state of equanimity in performing the action. Another beautiful thing. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. So he is repeated samo bhutva samatvam. So can this be called as punarukti, which means the deficiency of repeating it? So here the Acharya has established that it is not a punarukti. The idea is start with that which is known to you, that is siddhi and asiddhi, that which you can really feel. And as you elevate yourself, you will always naturally go towards that internal balance. That second one is that internal balance that is being referenced here. So with this, we complete the shloka number 48. I know I was going a couple of minutes over, but I wanted to complete it so that we can start with the 49th shloka in our next class. Harihi Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnad Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat.